everyone, welcome back. In the last lecture, we have discussed about doping in semiconductors or extrinsic semiconductors. In this lecture, we will be discussing about the doping energy level position in the semiconductor, and also we will be discussing about carrier concentration in the n-type and p-type semiconductors, Fermi level position in the extrinsic semiconductor. Though we discuss more detailed about the doping energy level position in the semiconductor, that means inside the band diagram. However, we discuss qualitatively the carrier concentration in n-type and p-type semiconductors and also the position of Fermi level in n-type and p-type semiconductors. Let us start. Now, let us see actually where exactly these doping energy levels lies into the silicon matrix for donor impurities and acceptor impurities. Draw energy level diagram and compare the energy levels of the donors and acceptors. Compare the energy levels of the donors and acceptors in the same diagram. It looks like this way. You can see here, this is the valency band of silicon and this is conduction band of silicon. And the band gap between the valency band and conduction band is 1.1 electron volts for silicon. If you see here, donor impurities into the silicon and germanium are group 5 elements. They are phosphorus, arsenic and antimony. You can see here, when you dope phosphorus or antimony or arsenic into the silicon, you will get actually the energy levels at this position. Now, when you dope antimony, the donor energy level lies just below the conduction band with an energy difference between the conduction band edge to the donor level is 0.4 electron volts. Since they are donors, their energy levels are closer to the conduction band. Now the energy difference between the conduction band to the donor level is 0.04 electron volts. Similarly, if you dope phosphorus, this will be 0.044 electron volts. And it is even smaller. And if you dope arsenic, it will be 0.049 electron volts. This will be 0.04 electron volts. This will be 0.044 electron volts. Arsenic will be 0.49 electron volts. So that means you don't need to send electrons from valency band to conduction band. If you give small amount of energy of the order of 44 milli electron volts, when you dope phosphorus, the electrons in the phosphorus can be excited easily into the conduction band and can participate into the conduction process. Similarly, other dopants. This is about the donor energy levels in the silicon matrix. Now, when it comes to the acceptors in the silicon, group third elements such as boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, these are the substitutional impurities into the silicon to get acceptor levels or acceptor energy levels to get a p-type conduction. Now, when you dope boron into the silicon, it looks like this way. The energy levels will be closer to the valency band. You can see here, boron, aluminum, gallium, all those energy levels are closer to the valency band. Now, the energy difference between the valency band and the boron level is 0.045 electron volts. That means to excite electron from silicon to the boron, you just require 40 milli electron volts. 40 milli electron volts is very, very small. The room temperature energy is 25 milli electron volts. So 40 milli electron volts is very small. That is the reason why at room temperature, the silicon bond will break and then those electrons will be given to the boron atom. Similarly, when you dope aluminum, the energy level lies 0.057 electron volts. And gallium, it will be 0.065 electron volts. So, when you want to dope any impurity into the semiconductor, we need to look where exactly the acceptor level, donor level are forming. So that which dopant is easier to excite and ionize electrons and holes respectively. So, if you see here, out of all these things, antimony and phosphorus are most suitable elements to excite electrons easily into the conduction band in the case of donors. In the case of acceptors, boron is easier to get holes into the valency band of the silicon because the ionization energy is very small. So this is how we get donor and acceptor energy levels into the silicon matrix. The meaning of this one is we don't need to excite electrons from valency band to conduction band to get a conduction. Instead, if you can just excite electrons from this level to this level, that means the phosphorus and antimony levels to the conduction band, we still get electrons. Those electrons can participate in the conduction process. Similarly, holes also. That's how we can improve their conductivities. Conductivities will be increased and also they can be controlled externally because the amount of phosphorus atoms you keep, that many electrons will be excited. So you can control how many number of electrons you require so that that many phosphorus atoms you can dope. So in this way you can control the properties in the extrinsic semiconductors. This is what we are discussing. At T is equal to 0 Kelvin, this is the donor energy level. This is for N-type semiconductor. This is N-type semiconductor. You can see here, this is the donor energy level. This is the valency band. This is the conduction band. Now, at T is equal to 0 Kelvin, all the donor energy levels are actually, the electrons are lies in the donor energy level. Now, when you have a 50 Kelvin temperature, that means if you just rise little bit temperature of this material, what happens? The electrons in the donor level will get ionized and go to conduction band. Now, all these electrons will participate in the conduction band and conduction. So, the conductivity of the extrinsic semiconductors can be raised quickly by using this kind of doping process. So, this is how we can make extrinsic semiconductors by doping suitable impurities into the silicon and germanium. Now, we will also see the extrinsic carrier concentration, that means the electron carrier concentration in the N-type semiconductor and the hole carrier concentration in the P-type semiconductor. However, we don't derive any of this, we will just see only the equation because of the constraints in the syllabus. Right? So this is the N-type semiconductors. For N-type semiconductor, the electron carrier concentration, this is the electron carrier concentration. We know that in N-type semiconductor majority charge carriers are electrons. So this equation gives you the electron carrier concentration in N-type semiconductor. Here if you see here, Nd is donor concentration. That means how many number of donors are present in the silicon matrix or germanium matrix. And rest of the things you know, effective, M star is the effective mass, H is the Planck's constant, K is the Boltzmann constant, T is the temperature. And here Ed is the donor energy level. And EC is the conduction band minimum. And for P-type semiconductor, the majority charge carriers are holes. So the hole carrier concentration is given here. Na is acceptor concentration. M star H is the effective mass of the hole and other things. Here EV is the valency band edge. EA is acceptor energy level. So these are the equations for electron carrier concentration in the case of N-type semiconductor, hole carrier concentration in the case of p-type semiconductor. Now, let us also see the position of Fermi level in the case of n-type semiconductor and p-type semiconductor. You can see here, this is for n-type semiconductor. This is the valency band. This is the valency band. This is the valency band edge, that is the EV represented, and this is the conduction band edge. It is represented with EC. That is a, and also here this is the donor energy level. So when you have n-type semiconductor, we dope with the donor elements like a phosphorus, arsenic, antimony. Now those energy levels are represented here. This is the donor energy level. It is closer to the conduction band. Now, in the case of n-type semiconductor, the Fermi level lies in between the donor level and the conduction band edge. You can see here, this is the Fermi level of n-type semiconductor. Similarly, when it comes to the p-type semiconductor, you can see here p-type semiconductor. In the p-type semiconductor, we dope acceptor elements like boron, aluminum, gallium, indium. Now, this is the valency band edge. This is the conduction band edge. Now, in this case, the acceptor energy level is here. This is the acceptor energy level. Now, the Fermi level in this case lies between the acceptor level and the valency band edge. This is the Fermi level. This is the Fermi level. So that means in the case of p-type semiconductor, the Fermi level lies between the acceptor level and the valency band edge. That's what it was written here. In the case of n-type semiconductor, the Fermi level lies in between donor energy level and conduction band. Or in the case of p-type semiconductor, the Fermi level lies in between acceptor energy level and valency band. So this is important for 1 mark. Sometimes they will ask. The Fermi level of n-type semiconductor lies exactly in between valency band and conduction band, or lies in between donor energy level and conduction band, or lies in between acceptor level and valency band edge. This is how the questions can be asked. Thank you so much for your attention. See you again.